Hello, I thought I'd show you one of my bookends today. It's an elephant. I think it comes from India. I've got two of them and they prop up some of my favourite books on my bookshelf. It's lovely, isn't it, the way it's been carved from wood and decorated beautifully. It's a performing elephant, you could say. Well, I've got a story for you about a performing elephant and a volcano. I hope you find it interesting. It's a true story from nearly 140 years ago. Enjoy. Roll up, roll up, roll up for the greatest circus in the world this year of 1883, John and Anna Wilson's Great World Circus. We have the most amazing acts, over 100 acrobats, trapeze artists, fire eaters, animal tamers, singers and dancers. And they are housed in the greatest, largest circus top in the world, imported especially from America by steamship across the Pacific Ocean. It seats 5,000 people and is entirely lit by gas. And our greatest act of all, the one which everybody is begging to see, is Mr. John Holtam, the Cannonball King, a man who can catch a cannonball fired at him live and survive the ordeal. Come along and buy your tickets soon. They will be sold out before you know it. Well, that's what the people of Batavia in the Dutch East Indies were told in the August of 1883. The city is now called Jakarta in the country of Indonesia. They'd had an interesting summer, all the usual parties for the colonials, and something a little bit extra as well, because at the beginning of the summer the local volcano had started to erupt, not in a terribly alarming way, but it gave a bit of excitement to the world. And it continued to do so all the way through the summer, with little earthquakes and minor eruptions happening just across the water from them. People got used to the buildings shaking a little every now and then. They didn't mind it. It didn't seem to be a great problem for them. So instead, they looked forward to the circus coming. They especially looked forward to seeing John Holtam, the Cannonball King. His reputation had grown around the world as one of the very few people in the world who could catch a cannonball, and the most successful at doing so. And when I say successful, he did lose 3 fingers on one occasion. But still, he was able to challenge people around the world in their performances and say, come and do the same. And so far, well over 150 people had failed to do so. So, it was time for the circus to arrive in town. People were so excited. It absolutely blew away society. The newspapers reported every single performance, even though there was one every day and 2 on Saturdays. And around the town, the circus made a big splash. The clowns, there were so many of them they could make a whole team, played cricket against the local cricket teams. And every single one of those matches was reported in the newspaper too. And the circus folks stayed in one of the finest hotels in the whole of Batavia, the Hotel des Indes. Every night they threw huge parties where they celebrated with champagne their latest performances and their latest acts of bravery and courage. Nobody could ignore the circus. Of course, there were other less high-profile acts as well. There was Miss Nanette Lockhart, for example, who had ordered a small elephant to be captured in the nearby island of Java and had trained it up in record time to do some amazing things. It was able to tiptoe across an obstacle course and juggle 3 balls with its trunk. People loved the little chap. Wonderful. Now it's said, and I don't know whether this is true, that when there is an earthquake coming, I mean a really big one that will absolutely shatter the local area, animals and even people sense it in the air. Their behaviour changes a little bit. Animals can get very agitated, and people can become very angry, very upset about the world without really knowing why, and start to fight and argue. I don't know whether that was the problem with the circus when it was in Batavia that summer. It could just be that John Wilson, who owned the circus with his wife Anna, was away on business. Anna was not used to keeping discipline over the circus performers. So occasionally there were quite big arguments. One night there was a minor riot in the Hotel des Indes. As the circus performers celebrated with champagne, an argument broke out as to who was the greatest performer of them all. And soon it ended up with glasses being thrown at each other and fists being thrown too, and the circus was nearly thrown out en masse out of the hotel. Why had it suddenly erupted when they got on so well together, right across their tours through Europe and America? Nobody could quite explain it. And then there were the animals too. They seemed a little unsettled. Miss Lockhart was worried about her elephant. Not just about its behaviour, but about the behaviour of the other performers. Maybe it was that great big fight, I don't know, but something had made her very anxious about the elephant. She felt that if she left it in the circus complex, harm would come to it. Someone would try and hurt it, or worse, poison it. Maybe she had professional enemies she just didn't realise. Miss Lockhart concluded there was only one thing to do. She would move the elephant into her room in the Hotel des Indes. Do you think that was a good idea? No, I don't think so either. Well, as we'll see, she discovered it wasn't either. One night she decided that she would go out with some friends for dinner, and she left the elephant in her hotel room on its own. Now it was a tame little chap, very friendly, didn't cause much trouble, but on this particular night something had really upset it. It became very agitated. It went, you might say, on the rampage. Stuck inside the room and unable to break its way out, it shattered every single piece of furniture and trumpeted loud with its trunk, making loud noises which were heard across the hotel. People came rushing to see what was happening, but they couldn't get inside the room. Eventually, the police were called, and the elephant had to be removed from the hotel room forcibly by several armed men. That was the final straw for the manager of the Hotel des Indes, and the entire circus was evicted from the hotel and told to find elsewhere to stay. Well, they were performers and they were professionals, so the show went on, and it's said that that show that night was actually one of the greatest they'd performed in the whole of their stay at Batavia. But then the next day, an explanation came as to why the elephant might have been so upset. The volcano, Krakatoa, suddenly erupted in the most violent way seen in modern history. The whole of Batavia, the whole of the East Indies, the whole of the world felt that eruption. How lucky they would have been if they'd have paid attention to a little elephant who perhaps knew what was coming more than the human beings. But it wasn't to be. Well, that, as I say, is a true story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back with some more soon.